This week's Piltch Point with Avram Piltch is proudly powered by PureVPN. The best way to protect your privacy online is with PureVPN. You can hide your online activities, say goodbye to regional restrictions, and improve your streaming quality. Plus, it's available for almost all of your devices. You can get a special price and a 31-day money-back guarantee right now by going to piltchpoint.live/PureVPN. Well, Avram, we just talked about how computers can be a little scarier than we want them to be because of Windows recall, but apparently you can be your own worst enemy too.
Yes. So I love keyboard shortcuts very much. I try to use a keyboard shortcut for anything and everything that exists. But sometimes you end up in a situation where you accidentally hit a key or a set of keys and it causes a lot of problems. So I put up this article, which I want to share with everyone, about 12 horrifying Windows self-destruct keys that is on the homepage of Tom's Hardware. And it talks about these key combos, which will they will not literally destroy your computer, but they will mess up your day unless you know how to reverse them. So some of the things here, the worst one, I think the most annoying one, although it's harmless, is Windows Control Enter, which is Windows Navigator. So you hit Windows Control Enter, and guess what happens? Your computer starts reading everything off of the screen and through your speaker. And that could be quite embarrassing if you were in an open office and you weren't on headphones. Or if you're in your house and you don't want your family to hear narrated whatever you have up on your screen. So, and it's annoying too. So hitting the key again, Windows Control Enter turns it off. But you could also turn off the key itself by going to Settings, Accessibility, Narrator, and you can turn off the keyboard shortcut so this never happens to you. Another one that does require you to do something a little bit strange, but maybe not if you're playing a game or you're getting really frustrated, you're pounding away on your keyboard and you hit the shift key 5 times. That's like the movie Candyman, where you say Candyman 5 times in the mirror and you get impaled. Here, what you get is an invitation to turn on sticky keys. Sticky keys is another accessibility feature that could be good for someone who really needs it, but is very problematic for people who don't need it. So what it does is you just hit, as it says on the screen, you just hit one key at a time instead of hitting a keyboard combo. So for example, Control X, which is cut, you hit Control and then you hit X. So let's say you had sticky keys on, you accidentally hit the Control key by itself, and you're typing, and then you type the letter X next. Oops, all of a sudden, cut will happen, right? Because it remembers whatever key, modifier key, Control, Shift, Alt, or Windows key that you hit before, and combines it with the next key that you have. So that's what sticky keys is. And that's good for people who don't, have mobility issues with their hands, because then they only need to poke with one finger. But it's not good for other people because you're going to end up with accidental keyboard combos. Again, you could turn off the keyboard shortcut for invoking sticky keys by going to Accessibility, Keyboard, Sticky Keys. I was asking around things that my coworkers had found that kind of annoyed them, and this actually, again, every one of these it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's something that you're supposed to have that is good for some people, but bad for many others or most people. Um, so if you hit Control Shift I or F12 when you're in a browser window, you get the console on the right of your screen, which here I'll hit it right now. You get you get the console on the right of your screen, which shows you all this code, which could show you JavaScript stuff or HTML or whatever. And if you're a developer and you want to see this kind of stuff, it's quite useful. But if you did this by accident, you just got a whole bunch of confusing code on your screen and you don't know why. So you can close it by hitting X or hitting the key F12 again, but that could totally, you know, confuse you. And I know if like someone who was not very computer literate had that happen to them, they might be thrown for a loop.
So,
Um,
out of curiosity, is that Chrome's default behavior? Because I know in Edge, the default behavior when you hit F12 is for it to come up and say, with a dialogue that says, if you're a developer, you might have meant to do this. If you're not, um, you probably don't want to be here.
that's an
And then
interesting question.
and then you
Definitely
have to
control.
enable it as a feature going forward.
Let's see. Here I have. Okay. So in Edge, it asked you. Um, but Control Shift I, it doesn't ask you.
I didn't even know about that one. This is what I do, and I didn't know about that one.
See, I usually use Control Shift I, not F12.
Okay.
So I wasn't even really thinking that was what kind of secondary to me. But so I guess it depends on the browser. In Chrome, it never asks you. But um, another thing where they don't ask you is if you accidentally hit Control W and close a tab. Uh, now, you know, you if you hit Control W by accident, you lose what you're working on. Of course, there's your browser history to get it back, but there's a shortcut. So, oops, I closed this. But if I hit Control Shift T, I get back where whatever I just left. So you can kind of save if you do hit Control W by accident, you could get your tab back. Um, Now here's one that I don't even know why it still exists. Scroll lock. Some keyboards still have scroll lock, and I have found very few programs that actually use it. The only one I could find is Excel. Have you found any other programs that use scroll lock?
Not my knowledge. And I'm looking. The
So,
keyboard I've got here has a dedicated key for it.
right. So it's a phenomenal waste. Like, it's definitely a good occasion to use something like sharp keys to remap that key for something to be something useful. So scroll lock fixes it so that when you are scrolling, instead of moving from cell to cell, the entire screen scrolls around you, which could be totally confusing and really not necessary. So, uh, if you are using Excel, uh, it does not happen in Google Sheets. But if you're using Excel, it will. You want to make sure that you don't turn scroll lock on, because that's a weird user experience. Or if you do, hit it again and you'll solve the problem. Uh, another one that a lot of people have trouble figuring out. This happened. I was actually showing my mom this one today. Is if you hold down Control and you use your mouse wheel, if you go up, you can zoom in, and if you go down, if you hold down Control and go down, you can zoom out. So sometimes people do that accidentally, and they say, "How come I'm all zoomed in over here?" Well, that's uh, a feature that I actually like to use for zooming in and out, but you got to know, right? Uh, uh, Another another one is the insert key. That's another keyboard key that doesn't really need to exist in 2025. Do you have an insert key on your keyboard?
Absolutely.
Do you ever use it?
Yes.
You do. Okay.
Yes, but infrequently. It's a for me it's a weird developer key because it's quicker than doing the other style of edit uh, in a Visual Studio.
So
There's two
generally
ways to do
speaking,
type over, and this is the easier way.
yeah. I mean, generally speaking, I find that most people just kind of expect that if they're going to delete something, they would they would delete the characters that they want to get rid of first, because you'd have to have the same exact number of characters to type over it, um, unless you were typing all the way to the end of the line. But I think for the most part, people want to, when they put the cursor in the middle of a word, they expect that when they hit a letter, it's going to insert that letter in the middle and push all the other letters over to the right. And what the insert key does is it puts you into overtype mode, where you're typing over the letters. And that could be quite confusing for someone who doesn't know what they just hit. Um, Now, it's interesting because if you go back to like the DOS era, overtype was the default, and I think most people to expected overtype to be the behavior. But I don't know. At least since people started using Windows, it seems to me like the vast majority of people, the vast majority of the time, expect the behavior to be that you're going to hit a letter and it's going to just add that, append that letter to the middle of the text. Um, Another one that I caution people about is F11. Uh, might make your screen full screen, which is fine, but if you don't realize how to get out of it and you need those toolbars, that could really throw you for a loop. Um, I have a couple more on here, but I want to talk about um, one that didn't make the cut, because two that didn't make the cut because they are um, mostly deprecated. Um, that is, you might find them on an older computer, but I don't know if you find them on a lot of current computers. So one is hitting Control Alt and an arrow key to flip your screen. I think they've eliminated that from most of the graphics drivers, but it was actually a very convenient shortcut for if you wanted to go into landscape, go from landscape to portrait mode on a monitor. But it looks like, from what I can tell, that's been that's been gotten rid of, and that was something that I think like Intel had it built into the graphics driver software, and I'm not sure if Nvidia had it built in, but it seems like it was causing enough confusion that they've gotten rid of it. But if you accidentally flip your screen, um, try hitting Control Alt and an arrow key to bring it back. Um, Another one that was the absolutely biggest self-destruct key of all time was that it used to be the case that your web browser, the backspace key would be back, would take you back. And I think that's been eliminated in all the modern browsers, because what would happen is if you were typing into an online form, such as you might have in a CMS like WordPress, and you went to hit backspace to erase something, but for some reason the cursor wasn't focused into in a text box, you'd hit backspace thinking you were going to delete a letter and ending up going back. And then if your work wasn't saved, you would have just lost the whole screen of work by hitting backspace. So I remember doing many stories about how terrible that was. and how to actually turn it off. So um, that I think, unless you're on an old version of a browser, is has been thankfully eliminated. Uh, but there are a lot of things that are still hanging around. One that's really rare but very frustrating, I have on my keyboard at work. If you hit the FN key plus W, it swaps the arrow keys and the WASD keys so that the WASD keys become arrow keys. So you accidentally hit
Oof.
FN plus W, and you don't understand why when you're typing letters aren't coming out and the cursor's just moving around. So um, apparently a lot of gaming keyboards used to have that, but um, it seems that not many still do. My keyboard is an Akko 3098N, so I don't. I know that other brands had this. It wasn't just Akko, but I tried a bunch of different keyboards at work to see if they had this shortcut, and they didn't, which is good because it's a pretty horrible situation that you could end up in and not understand and think your keyboard is broken.
Yeah, that
So
one would throw
anyway,
me off for sure.
and right, so um, I do think that a lot of the worst shortcuts, like the backspace, have been eliminated over the years, but there's still a bunch that if you don't know that you hit like once you know that you hit a shortcut and how to undo it, its power is gone. But it's when you don't realize that something happened, something bad, why something bad happened, like why is my computer talking to me, um, that you get that it really can throw you for a loop and feel like something is broken. So I encourage folks to check out my full list, which is on the homepage right now of tomshardware.com. Um, and if you have any other self-destruct keys, I'd be really curious to hear about them. It seems I'm sure there's some that I missed, but I tried asking a lot of people. Can you think of any that I missed that you've encountered?
No, not really in modern. The backspace was one of the ones that was in my head from the past because the number of times that bit me in the old internet
Right,
days. Oh my god.
right.
What a
And you could
stupid
know
idea.
about that, and you still would be hard to prevent
Yeah,
because
still
you
get
have
bitten
to
by it.
realize make sure that you had the keyboard focus. Like it was such a bad idea.
Yeah.
Um,
If
I
you're
mean,
gonna do
especially
it,
because there's
at least use a bizarre, not everyday hit key. Like we hit the backspace all the time when typing. Don't make it that one.
right. I mean, there's lots of other ways to go back in your browser. So,
Yeah.
like, you don't. That was never necessary. Like, you could
Yeah.
go back by hitting Control back arrow, or is it Alt? Oh no, it's Alt.
Alt.
It's Alt back arrow. Or by hitting Alt back arrow. So, or by hitting the thumb button on your mouse. So, like, there's other ways to
Yeah.
go back in one keystroke. Um, it wasn't necessary. It was never necessary to have it be backspace.
Yeah.
So,
It was always the wrong
you know,
choice.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I suppose whoever thought of it at the very beginning of the internet probably was at a time when people weren't doing a lot of typing into online forums.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it was always a bad choice.
Yeah.
But
It was probably before uh the form tag existed, to be honest.
possibly, I mean, it certainly continued long after that. But it could
Way too
date.
long after that.
You know, it could date. Who knows? Like, could date further back. I'd have to go back to like. You have to go back to like the first. GUI browser and see, you know.
Yeah.
But it, I think the point is knowledge is power, and when you know why things happen, then you can deal with them.
Right. You can make better decisions when you know everything around it.
Yep.
that that arrow key thing is wild. I am literally sitting here with a gaming laptop in front of me and I'm looking. I'm like, is it on here? No, I don't think so.
Right. I mean, the arrow key, but it was useful because if you plug in something like an external monitor and you want it in portrait mode,
Oh,
right?
I meant the gaming arrow keys.
Oh, the gaming arrow.
WASD.
Yes, the WASD one.
No, no, no. The changing from landscape to portrait, I'm totally on board with, because until they changed the the interface for Windows 11 on how to do that, it was a huge pain in the butt.
You have to get to you have to go a lot of menus deep
Yeah,
to get to it.
yeah.
So
On
having
on
a
11,
shortcut,
on 11 it's real upfront on the display settings, but in 10, trying to dig it out in 10 was a pain.
right? Yeah. So I mean, I think it had its place,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, the WASD key. I think they were thinking that this was something good for left-handed gamers.
I'll tell you, um, my brother is a right-handed gamer, and he uses those, not the arrows.
Right.
So it would be good for him too. It's just it's fascinating.
But doing it through a shortcut is could
Swi
be a nightmare.
switch on the side, special button in the back, something like that. Totally, totally on board with that.
Yeah.
I've got oh, I have a keyboard in the office upstairs. It is a Logitech gaming keyboard, and it has a gaming mode switch on it. And I've never really messed with it because I have it because, like you, I like having keys, and I have my G keys on the left that I program for macros.
Yes, I like those keys on the Logitech.
That's the reason I have that keyboard. Not for the weird switch at the top. I wonder if that might be part of it. I've never experimented. Well, I know what I'm doing after the show.
Yeah, give it a shot. I mean, I'm curious if you do find another keyboard that has it. I mean, I was reading things the equivalent that maybe some older Razer keyboards may have had it, but the ones that I tried and the one I tried in our office didn't do it. So um, I don't know.
I got a couple of
I think who
I got a couple of those up there
yeah
too from our Razor days.
yeah. But you know, it's yeah, definitely. I've done it to myself by accident a couple of times, and uh, that that's kind of a nightmare.
Yeah, that wouldn't be great. Especially for a writer. That wouldn't be great.
Yeah,
All of a sudden, four of your keys go away. That's
yeah,
and a vowel at that. It's not ideal.
yes,
Oh my goodness. Well, Avram, thank you as always. That was a fun dive into that. Um, I always knew that holding down or rapid tapping the shift key would bring up sticky keys, but didn't know what that was till now. So thank you for that. Uh, Legitimately had no idea what that feature did other than annoy me. So uh, interesting. Anyway, and as always, I look forward to what we talk about next time. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Piltch Point with Avram Piltch. If you did, Please subscribe to our channel and, of course, hit the notification bell since subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. And if you've got topics you'd like us to discuss in the future, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you don't want to follow us on YouTube, that's okay. There's a lot of other ways that you can follow our content. You can find all of that by going to PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all the different ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.